Hello, this is Astrologer Coach Sonja Francis, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming full moon in Virgo, which will be exact on March 1st at 7:51 p.m. Eastern Time in the US, which is also New York time, or March 2nd at 12:51 p.m. London time, GMT time. And the full moon will be exact in 11 degrees of Virgo. Now, a full moon is always an opposition between the moon and the sun. So during these oppositions, we seek balance. We become really aware that we need to integrate two perspectives that seem like polar opposites. And so very often we experience this and we achieve the integration of this through our interactions with other people. So relationships of all kinds are highlighted during the full moon. It also brings a greater awareness to how far we've come since the new moon phase started. So especially in regards to setting our intentions during the new moon phase, how far have we come with those intentions? And then also anything that got started right after the new moon, a couple of days later, when the moon sextiled the sun, where have we been able to go with these projects that we started around that time? And the full moon will give us sort of like an awareness and an overview of like, oh, this is how far I've come, and this is where I want to go for, if I want to go further, or maybe I don't want to go further. I have accomplished what I needed to accomplish. So that's part of the full moon phase as well. Now, if you have questions that come up as I'm talking in the video, I just wanted to say that, feel free to write them down and feel free to ask them during the next forecasting forum on March 2nd. I'm always happy to answer astrology questions during my forums. And if it's your first time watching one of my videos and you don't know anything about my forecasting forums, then feel free to just wait until the end. I'll talk more about that at that point. I also have some more updates about my new online community that I just launched and my super duper special that's currently available. So for all of that, definitely stay tuned until the end. But first, let's talk about the full moon. Now, the moon in Virgo opposes the sun in Pisces. And so Virgo seeks personal wholeness and wants to do things well and wants things to go smoothly, right? Pisces reminds us that there is an even greater wholeness than just what's physical, what's practical, what's material, that there is a wholeness in connection to our divinity or interconnectedness with all of life, right? So it's a very, very big energetic connection on an energy level. Now, Virgo benefits very much from apprenticeship, whereas Pisces learns to trust inner guidance above all else. So intuitiveness, right? Now, when these two energies are well balanced, we're able to discern without judgment and serve without obligation. And we can love all of creation, including ourselves, fully and completely. And there's pure acceptance. So when these are both balanced, that's what's possible. Now, Virgo analyzes and Pisces feels and intuits, it senses, right? So Virgo is more of a mental energy and Pisces is more of a sensing energy. Now, with this opposition, we are invited to discern what's real in our lives so we can make healthier choices for ourselves. Now, to find the balance between Virgo and Pisces for the next 2 weeks, ask yourself, where do I need to be more selective? Where do I need to be more accepting in my life? And how can I tap into my inner knowingness and make practical choices? That's a really good one, I think. And what if choosing was already and always in alignment with divine timing? And that's a really great one, I think, and especially for this full moon, and you'll see later why this is a really good one. So feel free to, use the questions that I pose in my videos for meditation, for journaling, simply just coming back to them over the next 2 weeks and just keeping them in the back of your mind and see what arises as you're investigating these questions. And just remember, you don't have to have an answer to these questions right away. It's really just to be in the inquiry, to be in the curiosity of that energy and to align ourselves with these energies. That's what the questions are for. And you can also use some of the questions and disregard some of the other questions. So whatever resonates most with you, use those questions, right? Now, for now, all these questions from this video are still available on my website at astrologercoach.com via my blog page and the weekly forecasts. So feel free to get all the questions in writing there. And I will post this blog on February 25th. So after February 25th, all of that will be available via the weekly forecast and the full moon post within the weekly forecasts. Now, please keep in mind that after March 10th, this service is only going to be available to my online community. So for more information on that and how to join us, stay tuned until the end. All right. Now, back to the full moon. All full moons bring awareness to a polarity, and that also illuminates the shadow side of both signs that are involved in the full moon. So what does that mean with Virgo and Pisces? Virgo's shadow side is judgment. And so judgment is really a way for us to create separation between us and others, and also ultimately it creates a split within ourselves. So it's really a closing off of the heart, because mentally we're just saying this is right or wrong, or this is good or bad, right? So it's really limiting our ability to learn, which is so important in order for us to get to the higher vibration of Virgo. So it keeps us really stuck in duality, defending our position or attacking others, ultimately, right? So it's really important that we don't label things in that way, right? And rather we want to see life or situations or people in terms as useful or unproductive, as like this is a good fit or this is a bad fit for me, this is working or this is not working, right? This approach, this more neutral approach, is much more useful in terms of the Virgo energy. Now, when we draw on the higher vibrations of Pisces, we can more easily connect with the higher vibration of Virgo. And this is very important. Now, Pisces' best qualities are compassion, intuitiveness, open-heartedness, inspirational creativity, and imagination. And at its best, Pisces understands that we're all souls in various states of development doing the best we can every day. Like at its highest vibration, Pisces understands that and knows that, right? Now, the shadow side of Pisces is a lack of boundaries, ambiguity, escapism, helplessness, or victimization. And so when we draw on the best qualities of Virgo, we can move back into the higher vibration of Pisces again. So as you can see, Pisces and Virgo really need each other. And this is true for all oppositions. Opposite signs need each other so that we can learn to raise our vibration. Now, Virgo's best qualities are the ability to choose wisely and discern objectively and neutrally what works and what doesn't work, right? Now, when both sides are integrated well, right, when you have both sides connecting in a healthy way, we have the acuity and sharpness of the mind, which is a Virgo thing, right, united with the wisdom of our heart and our intuitive guidance, which is the Pisces part, right? And so this is really valuable, because having that work together in a healthy way is really what we need to be successful as human beings in this life, right? And so you can ask yourself here, what if I could find the synergy between my emotional, intuitive understanding and my rational, scientific understanding of things? Great question, right? And do I really have to choose between scientific facts and intuitive knowingness? What if I could have both? What if I could use both of these things? Rather than saying it's either or, it's either just facts or it's only just intuition, right? What if both is valuable? And how might that be possible? How can I make that a reality for myself in my day-to-day, right? Now, for the next 2 weeks, Virgo asks us to become aware of the clutter that is distracting us from our priorities. So what you can ask yourself here, what in my current daily life is nourishing to me? What feels good to my body and soul, right? And what might be toxic? What are some of the things that are maybe blocking nourishment from happening, or that is the opposite of nourishing to me, right? Now, Virgo's highest vibration is also about service, right? So to be of service, we must acquire discernment. Not judgment, not criticism, not perfectionism, right? This is important because perfectionism is a big one for Virgo, right? But the ability to focus objectively on what is helpful and set aside the rest, right? So let me say that again. The ability to focus objectively on what is helpful and set aside the rest. And this is very important for Virgo. So in order to serve, we have to first realize also that we have something to offer, right? Like, how can you serve or be of service if you have nothing to offer, right? So ask yourself here, what if I didn't have to be perfect to be of service? And that is a really important one, especially for all the Virgos out there in the universe. What if I didn't have to be perfect to be of service? And what might I notice if I were 5% more mindful of my inner dialogue? Because very often, some of the reasons why we're not allowing ourselves to be of service is because of the things we say to ourselves. And so we want to first notice, what is that inner dialogue, right? And what if I brought 5% more compassion to myself, especially to that inner critic? And we all have that, right? We all have an inner critic. So what if I brought 5% more compassion to myself, especially to my inner critic? Okay, now the last new moon, right, was on February 15th, and that was a solar eclipse. So that was a very, very powerful new moon. And so that was signaling an ending and beginning of a 19-year cycle. And so for those of you who watched my last video, you already know this. Now, it shows us with this full moon that whatever remains to be healed or integrated or released in order for us to take the next big step on our soul's path, we're ready to take that next big step, right? Now, the Sun, Neptune, Mercury, Venus, and Chiron are all in Pisces at the time of the full moon. And so this means that we're really being drawn inward right now, because Pisces is a very introverted energy, right? We're being invited to go more into silence, into solitude, into connecting with our spiritual self, our higher self, right? As much as possible. So we're here to really get quite connected to our intuition and release what no longer serves our soul's growth, right? So that's what's really very strong right now with that many planets in Pisces, it's very strong. Now the moon opposes Neptune and the sun conjuncts Neptune, right? Because they're opposite each other. So Neptune plays a big part in this full moon chart. So ask yourself here, if I'm honest with myself, what would I notice that feels draining to me, energetically speaking, rather than inspiring? This is a really important question, to just observe and notice over the next 2 weeks. What do I notice that feels draining to me, energetically speaking, rather than inspiring? And what might happen if I surrendered my personal will 5% more to divine will? And I know that, the word surrender can sometimes trigger some people, and it can be kind of like, I'm not surrendering anything. But the truth of the matter is that it's really a matter of trusting. The surrender happens by allowing ourselves to lean back and trust life, trust our higher self, trust the energies at play, right? That's really what we're meaning when we're saying surrender, right? Now, could I be open to receiving guidance directly from my higher self, my soul self? And if my feelings had words and could speak, what would they say to me? And what would my dreams say to me? And what messages might my intuition have? Now, all of that, it's all connected to kind of going within and getting quiet to the extent that we can actually hear the subtleness of all those messages. Because, dreams are very subtle. Intuition is very subtle, right? Our feelings can sometimes be less subtle, but, feelings, they come in waves, right? So these waves have some kind of message for us, right? And also to recognize that the waves are just a matter of it's energy patterns, right? Just as much as energy patterns as thought are energy patterns, as much as sensations in our body are energy patterns, right? So all of it is just energy that's just moving through us. And we can observe all of these patterns, all of this energy can be observed rather than taking it personally or identifying with it as it is mine, it is personal. We can go into a more observer place with it, which is what Virgo is all about as well, right? It's the scientist. Virgo has to do with the scientific mind. It has to do with being the observer. So as we're moving more into that observer position with Virgo, then we can really start to tune into all these subtle energy levels that Pisces wants us to get to, right? Our inner Pisces, because all of these signs, they're just archetypes that live within ourselves somewhere, right? So when we're talking about these signs, we're really talking about something that's already inside of you. Now, Mercury in Pisces conjuncts Venus, which is exalted in Pisces. So she feels very comfortable there, Venus in Pisces, right? So everything is made up of energy, right? And therefore it's interconnected. Now, Venus really understands that. And Venus really loves that when she's in Pisces, right? That there's this sense of oneness and interconnectedness and connecting, right? So if we can recognize that we all do the best we can at any given time, and that on a spiritual level, there are no mistakes, that there are only experiences, we can learn about empathy, we can learn about self-compassion. And when we do that, when we start to learn about empathy and self-compassion, our brain will literally start to rewire itself. Because it will start to move from criticism towards compassion. Now ask yourself, what might be possible if I allowed my mind to be just 5% more relaxed? And again, just 5%. Because we want to take baby steps here. We don't want to go into it has to be perfect or it has to be 100%. Because that doesn't serve us, right? And it doesn't work usually either. So, we're looking at what works, what doesn't work, right? So what might be possible if I allowed my mind to just be 5% more relaxed? And what if I stood in allowing curiosity and creative spaciousness? And I think that's a really beautiful question. And you can journal on that and just see what kind of comes up, right? Now, am I currently using my imagination to inspire or scare myself? And really pay attention to that if you can. Really observe that if you can over the next 2 weeks, because that's really important, Do I have a tendency to go towards the worst case scenarios or the best case scenarios, right? And what might love choose? If love was a person, right? What might love choose? Now, Mercury, Venus in Pisces, which is conjunct, also connects with Chiron in Pisces. So these three planets are so close together that they're all kind of influencing each other, right? Now, what does that mean? This is an opportunity for healing because Chiron is the wounded healer. And Chiron reminds us that anything can heal through the power of acceptance and love. And that healing happens by reclaiming and reintegrating those parts of ourselves that have gotten wounded in our childhood. And now these parts, as we're adults now, they seem limited or imperfect. So by loving these parts of ourselves, we get to reclaim them, we get to heal them. Now check to see during the next 2 weeks, do I feel unloved, unworthy, simply not good enough? And if I have those feelings come up at some point, could I allow them to simply be there just for right now? And could I be open to the possibility that these feelings are coming up right now to be acknowledged and released? And it's very important to do both, right? You cannot let go of something unless you have acknowledged it and allowed it to be there, given it permission to be what it is. We cannot let go of something unless we give it permission to be what it is. We give it love and acceptance. So could I be open to the possibility that these feelings are coming up right now to be acknowledged and released? Now also check to see in the next 2 weeks if you're maybe revisiting themes from last January, late January of last year, and from April of last year, 2017, right? Now, Venus was conjunct Chiron in Pisces in both of those times, right? Late January and most of April. Now ask yourself, what was present in my relationships with others back then? Or my relationship with the divine, with my inner knowingness or my higher self? And did I have any realizations at that time? Any understanding of what needs to heal further in my life in regards to relationships and the inner divine, right? So just contemplate that and see if anything comes up. And if you don't remember, that's okay. Now, Mercury, Venus, Chiron, right? Those 3 planets in Pisces, they make a beautiful, harmonious trine to Jupiter in Scorpio at the time of the full moon. Now, Jupiter in Scorpio at the time of the full moon also is stationing. So it's moving slower than normal because it's getting ready for its retrograde phase, which means that when a planet does that, it is much more exalted and we feel the energy of that planet stronger. Now, what that means is that this trine and Jupiter really supports a connection to our emotional, spiritual body. We really get to feel a new connection or a renewed connection to our emotional, spiritual body. Now, what you want to ask yourself here with this combination is how might a deeper, authentic emotional approach support my connection to my divinity and my related healing process? Because we're all doing healing around divinity right now, or inner knowingness, intuitiveness, right? That very feminine part of ourselves. We're all doing some healing around that right now because Chiron is in Pisces, right? And will be until next year. Now, what new perspectives or higher truths might I find if I take a look at that, right? And if I looked at my human limitations through the lens of the human soul alliance, is it at least possible that this would deepen my relationships with other people? And I think that's a really interesting question to contemplate and maybe just take some time with if you want to. Okay. Now we will also go into Jupiter's movement in more detail in our next forecasting forum. So if you want to know how the Jupiter station and the upcoming retrograde phase is going to impact you personally, feel free to join us. We will apply what's coming up to our own birth charts. And as I already mentioned, the next forum is on March 2nd. It's going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. Pacific Time, and 8 p.m. London Time. And you can also join for free if you become a star or superstar member on my site. But for more information, stay tuned until the end, okay? Now, the last thing I want to talk about with this full moon chart is Mars in Sagittarius squares the Mercury-Venus Chiron alignment in Pisces. Okay, so there is a square here. Now, what does that mean? Squares always ask us to stretch and grow. And this particular square with Mars in Sagittarius versus all those planets in Pisces is all about fast versus slow, extroverted versus introverted, physical versus emotional inspiration, impulsive versus thoughtful, meditative versus direct, straightforward versus ambiguous or long-winded. Okay, so as you can hear from these different types of energies, right? One of them was Mars in Sagittarius and the other one was all this other stuff in Pisces, right? So ask yourself here with this square, what would it look like if I could walk my talk 5% more instead of getting caught up in idealized fantasies or dreams? And if you are a dreamer, and if you are someone who loves to be in what if or I wish, then this question is for you, right? Now, what if I looked within before leaping into action? So if you are someone who is very action-oriented person, then this question is for you. And what daily practices could support my looking within before I leap? Again, this is for you if you are an action taker, right? Especially for the next 2 weeks with that square being in place. Now, what if my truth applied to me only? And this is a Mars in Sagittarius question. Because with Mars in Sagittarius, we tend to want to push our truth on other people. We want to fight for our truth, right? We want to have arguments and we want to discuss things with other people about the truth, right? But what if my truth applies to me only? And how might this contribute to my inner peace? So you can start to work with that Sagittarian Pisces energy in a healthy way as you ask those last two questions, right? Now, this full moon invites us to be love in thought and in action. It also reminds us that our mindfulness and open heart make a difference. So not only in our own lives, but really in the world at large. And so before taking action for the next 2 weeks, or if you're simply feeling ambiguous about something, ask yourself, what would love do? What would my heart say if it had words and could speak? And so I really love that last question. That's a really good one. Now, rather than pushing, overthinking, or giving up, I invite you to conduct small, simple experiments and have faith in the universal support. And this is very important because we have so much energy in the Pisces realm. So if we're starting to overthink things, we're not going to be able to tap into that Pisces energy, into that heart, intuitive energy, right? So for the next 2 weeks, ask yourself, where is the balance point of intellect and intuition, striving and surrender? And when I say surrender, it's a trusting in the energies at play. Right? What if I trusted 5% more in the perfect outcome? Right? And perfect because it always is perfect, right? If we look at it from a soul perspective. Now, to sum it all up, this full moon reminds us that no matter what chaos, intensity, and craziness might be going on outside of us, we have only to look inside to find our truth and to find our peace. It's like being the eye of the storm, right? Rather than focusing on the storm, focus on the space that's right in the middle, that's calm and quiet, right? And it is in our hearts that we will find what matters and what we can believe in wholeheartedly. So it's really important to stay connected right here from the inside. And peace does come from within, from each one of us. So we are what we choose to be in every moment of now. So choose wisely. Choose to be in your inner peacefulness. And so as best as you can, therefore, simply observe like a scientist from a place of neutrality and curiosity. Notice what serves you in the moment. Now, if you have an ascendant, career point, or personal planets in 9 to 13 degrees of Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, or Sagittarius, then you are going to feel the impact of this full moon more strongly. But even if you don't have personal planets in those degrees and signs, the house placement in your birth chart that's affected by this full moon is equally as important. So take a look at your birth chart if you have one. It indicates which areas of your life need your attention for the next 2 weeks. Take a look and see where is 11 degrees of Pisces and Virgo. And remember, they're always opposite each other. So the houses also have to be exactly opposite each other, right? And what do those houses or areas of your life represent? And what balance or integration needs to happen in those areas of your life for the next 2 weeks? Now, if you don't have a birth chart, then please watch my video, How to Read Your Birth Chart. Towards the end of that 30-minute class, I will let you know how to get a visual of your birth chart for free online. And you will also learn how to apply what I share in my videos to your own birth chart. And so this is a really fantastic video to watch. If you haven't seen it yet, you can watch it on my YouTube channel or on my website. If you go to my homepage at astrologercoach.com and just look for free class, if you scroll down and further down, there's a button that says free class. And if you click on that link, then you can watch that class. And there's also some handouts that are available on my website that are not available on YouTube. Okay, so your choice. And it's also a really great video to watch before you join my monthly forecasting forum. So if you've been thinking about that, I want to encourage you to definitely watch that video first, okay? Now feel free to skip this part if you're not interested in my brand new online community or in my interactive monthly forecasting forums, or you've already been there, done that. Feel free to skip this part. First, I want to give you an update on what's happening with my new online community. My website developers are still working through some kinks and little issues here and there that are coming up. Now, if you see anything on my new site that doesn't look right or seems off or is not working properly, please let me know right away. I appreciate all of your feedback in that regard, because there is just certain things that I can't see or that my web developers are not seeing, and you as the customer are of extreme help to me in finding some of these kinks and little issues, right? Now, as a thank you for being a part of my community already here on YouTube or on Facebook or Twitter or via my own mailing list, for a limited time only, I'm offering a super duper discount for all 3 membership levels that are currently available. So the most basic monthly membership is available for the price of a cappuccino right now. So if you love coffee as much as I do, then I think this is a pretty clear choice. The universal membership shall be yours. And you will get lots of freebies. Even with just the most basic membership, you get great astrology content on a daily, weekly, monthly basis all year long, or as long as you stay subscribed. And on top of that, you get exclusive, unique content that will be available via my full moon videos only to my online community, and all these freebies as well. So I recommend you go to my website right now and check out what might be the best fit for you. This super low price is only available for a limited time, and right now you can lock it in for life, or as long as you stay an active member on my site, right? So this is really, really a great deal. Now, let's talk a little bit about my monthly forecasting forums. If you haven't joined them yet and you want to join them and you don't know what they are, know that these forums are really supportive. This is why I've created them. It's the next best thing to getting a one-on-one reading with me. And so it is really a great way to join me and to look at your own chart to see how are the upcoming energies each month affecting me personally. What does it mean for me, right? Because all the videos that I give you on YouTube, the new moon videos, I mean, these are great because you get a sense for what the energies are doing. But really, how does it connect with you, right? That's really what we're all interested in. What's in it for me? So these forums are there to answer that question, right? So that we can get a little bit more of a sense on how this applies. Now, since we have a Jupiter and Mercury retrograde coming up in March, I want to encourage you to join us so you can see how these planetary movements are going to impact you personally. And like I already mentioned, the next forum is March 2nd, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. Pacific Time, and 8 p.m. London Time. Now, you can sign up to join my webinars live or register to receive a video presentation. Everyone gets a video presentation, whether you register live or not, within 24 hours of the live event. And you can also ask questions in advance. And so it's really valuable either way, however you want to join. Since you can ask your own questions in advance, it's a great way to join. Now, right now, the webinars are $37 for the 90+ minute webinar. Sometimes we go over a little bit. And you can also right now join for free every month if you sign up for the monthly star or superstar membership. So, by the way, star membership is less than the price of a forum. So it's really a no-brainer, right? So superstar is a little bit more, but superstar, you get a lot more stuff as well. So check it out and see what aligns with you the most, right? Now, forums are included in the Star and Superstar membership, plus you get lots of other goodies like all my exclusive astrology content, forecasts, many fantastic discounts on services, online courses, and retreats, future retreats. Now, you can sign up for my memberships or register now on my website at astrologercoach.com. On the homepage, you will see places where you can click to get to the membership page or to get to the forecasting forum page. And if you do want to ask questions in advance, I just want to say, please also fill out the form that you will receive via email after you register for the forum. You will get an email after you register, and in that email is a link to so that you can fill out a form where you can ask your questions for the forum. Now, I will answer all of the questions I receive in order that I have received them. Please ask questions that are related to what comes up each month in the webinar. So for this one, it would be any questions connected to the Jupiter and Mercury station or retrograde phases. I also will answer general astrology questions as well. So if you have anything general about astrology, I will answer that, and anything connected to Jupiter and Mercury station and retrograde phases. All right. Now, again, all the questions from this video are also still available on my website at astrologercoach.com via my weekly forecasts on the blog page after February 25th. Again, after March 10th, this service is only going to be available to my online community. So join now while the most basic monthly membership is still available for the price of a cappuccino. And if you want to sign up for my newsletter, which includes my new moon video and special offers and announcements about my business or retreats that I'm having or webinars, then feel free to email us at info@astrologercoach.com and just write newsletter in the subject line. Or you can also go to my website, and on the homepage there is a button where you can sign up for the newsletter as well. All right. Now, any general questions that you have, always feel free to reach out to Sonja at astrologercoach.com. That's SONJA@astrologercoach.com. If it's a personal question that requires of me to pull up your birth chart, then please either book a reading with me on my website or feel free to ask questions at the monthly forecasting forum if it's anything that's connected with what's coming up within the next 30 days or so. All right? So have a fantastic full moon in Virgo. and allow yourself to explore that balance and integrate those Pisces, Virgo energies within you. And I will be back again. This is Astrologer Coach Sonja Francis. Goodbye.